The Mario movie. One of my favourite movies ever, really. The casting was impeccable, and the acting was on point. I was highly immersed in the world, and it made me a bigger fan of Nintendo. Honestly, I'm surprised that it didn't get more praise. You're likely thinking, Andrew, the Mario movie, that's not even out yet. Oh, I'm not talking about that movie. What am I talking about? I love Mario, my favourite franchise ever. Behind like 5 other ones, but anyway. It's home to the greatest Nintendo Switch game, the greatest animated TV show, and the greatest cereal ever. I'm telling you, paying 10 quid for cereal was the greatest investment I've ever made. God, I love being a Nintendo consumer. Nintendo has fondled the bag in recent times. You know what? They have fondled the bag repeatedly over history. Let's take for example the pitch of a Zelda Netflix series, which may happen, but I wouldn't put my money on it. You also had that really promising Smash Bros animation which they could have easily made into an anime, and I bet that would also bang. But fate wasn't meant to be. Instead, we got Detective Pikachu, a really average movie with the only redeeming factor being Ryan Reynolds, and, we got the Mario movie coming down the woodworks for December 2022, and boy, I can't wait until they cast Adam Driver as Diddy Kong, or they cast Mormon presidential candidate of 2012 Mitt Romney as Ludwig. The Mario movie is headed by Illumination and Miyamoto. Yeah, I believe Miyamoto is the only person from Nintendo having a creative influence on the movie, which is ironic because Illumination is a terrible company that lacks creativity and the ability to sell tickets by any other way than stacking their cast with people from Hollywood. I don't know, maybe Miyamoto will have a positive impact on the company.
His friends in the movie.
Jack Black? Okay. You know, back when I was 11 years old and I heard rumblings of there being a Mario movie, I was initially stoked, because I didn't know that Illumination was a company that lacked the mental capacity to make a genuinely compelling movie, beside the original Despicable Me. But that's a case for a different day. If you would like to know my problem with Illumination making this movie, it essentially boils down to, they would make their movie budgets incredibly small in comparison to other studios, and their movies would have motion blur which gives them a really disorientated effect. But hey, the small budget allows them to maximize profit. I went to go watch the 2018 Grinch movie purely because Tyler the Creator had a song in it, and boy, I felt nothing by the end of it. Which leads on to their celebrity casting and celebrity involvement, which stems back to Robin Williams with Aladdin, but it has blossomed into a far larger problem. You have Illumination that would have comedically low budgets compared to other 3D animated adventures, and even then, they presumably spend a lot of that budget on getting celebrities to voice characters, which is a larger problem than I let on because it discredits voice acting as a medium. Because why would you get a voice actor that is unknown by the general public, when you can get Taylor Swift and then use her instead? It's better for advertising, although despite all that, there's a larger problem. The movies that Illumination make aren't visually striking, and they don't even evoke nostalgia in me. The ones that I grew up with. There could be an exception made for the original Despicable Me, but that was before the hostile takeover the Minions had on pop culture. The Minions producing an archetype of character that I absolutely hate. In fact, one of the things I fear the most is that they'll try to make a new Minion variation out of Toad. Because Illumination love making characters who are cute and able to be duplicated. They tried to do that with the Little Bears in the Lorax, and I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to try it again in the Mario movie. Either way though, I don't have the most hope for the Illumination Mario movie, but I don't need to. I already have the perfectly fine Mario movie right here, that I've been holding for too long. This movie officially being called Super Mario Bros. Coming out in 1993 to critical, just critical. Reviews for the movie nowadays are overwhelmingly negative, and I don't have the ability to travel back in time to 1993 to ask people how they felt in the movie. However, I guess the biggest indicator of how well it did was how much profit it made. Yeah, anyway, people my age and younger likely aren't familiar with the Mario movie, but I've got a strange relationship with this movie. I was with a friend that I must have been like 7, and he got out the family laptop and said to me, "Hey, check this out." And he showed me a clip of the Mario movie, and I was intrigued. And I'm sure anyone would be intrigued if you showed them a clip of the Mario movie, to be fair. Because now Nintendo is such a strict guideline when it comes to representing a character properly. Usually when working with a company, they will have guidelines that a character will abide by to stay in model and stay in brand. Nintendo didn't really have that complete brand consistency until the 2010s, and before that they had several deviations from the norm. And that was the 2000s. Imagine the 90s where Mario was barely established and the franchise could have been molded into literally anything. This of course paving the way for the Mario movie, which is quite the departure from the source material, which I personally like as a concept a lot, hence the words in concept. It was unique and oozed of that 90s charm. I watched the Mario movie for the first time in 10 years over the weekend, and before that, my week was filled with great media. Media I can't complain about, but the Mario movie, it's okay. It's weird, but I had a good time. I've mentioned the idea a few times, but me simply investing the time to go watch a movie, I am Stockholmed into liking it. Not because it's genuinely good, but because I don't want to be ashamed of spending time watching it. However, the Mario movie is in a weird grey area where I acknowledge that the movie is bad, but at the exact same time, I kinda love it. And it's bad in a way that it's unfamiliar and weird, like they had to craft a full world for these characters and give exposition about that world, which will naturally seem unusual for the audience and was probably unusual for Miyamoto too, as he probably didn't intend for the story to be adapted like that. Basically, there was our normal world, but whenever the meteorite wiped out the dinosaurs, it didn't wipe them out, but instead created a parallel universe. So you have the universe we live in, and the universe with the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs evolved into mammal-like creatures. It's really a parallel dimension, which is what they use in the movie. And why does that happen? I don't know. Like, why is there a Mario 64-esque effect in the wall connecting the two worlds? I still found myself puzzled throughout the movie, and I had to rewind it a few times to get better context. And if I'm doing that, and I'm practically an adult, I can only imagine how mind-boggling it would be for a child. The Mario movie opts for a non-linear story, which it would almost have to adopt, as I had to give exposition. And exposition is given, but then we skip forward to a scene which isn't explained, and we get an egg hatching in a church. Cut to Brooklyn, New York, and we've got Mario and Luigi, who in my opinion are casted really well here. Mario being played by Bob Hoskins, who upon doing research, I found out was English.
Northern England. No, it's in Middle England, it's the Midlands.
What? Luigi being played by John Leguizamo. I feel that he's the true protagonist here. There's a far larger cast, but they're not relevant today, nor are they worth bringing up. Like if I randomly mention the name Judy Clayton, could you tell me who she played? No, because she wasn't even in the movie. The characters themselves are worth mentioning, because they made Bowser, known in the movie as Koopa, into a human, along with his henchmen. They had a lot of creative freedom. I'd rather have a movie that would take a risk, rather than be bland, which I feel may happen with Illumination, but... Mario and Luigi are plumbers and are hard at work on their plumber escapades. However, they're being economically castrated by Scapelli Construction, a company who is allegedly associated with an organisation beginning with M and ending with Afia. I find Scapelli really weird, because you could have removed them, and it would have changed nothing. We made Spike and Iggy and they're strange, and they're out to get Princess Daisy. There is an entire treasure trove of lore in this movie about the concept of evolution and de-evolution, which is used to turn people into Goomba. The Goombas in the movie not resembling the Goombas in the game, which everyone knows about. Come on, it's the most well-known thing about the movie. Like, ugh. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna refer to King Koopa as Bowser, just because that's his name. Bowser is my favourite character in the movie purely because he is goofy, and his part is played really well. A charismatic, yet corrupt politician. Yeah, I said politician. In Dino Hunting, they seem to have a king. I don't hear of any competition, but do I really need to? This entire movie is jank, but I like it. Like the scene where Bowser meets Mario and Luigi is entertaining, because Bowser just chats so much nonsense and then Mario and Luigi push him to the de-evolution chair, which doesn't devolve him. He gets devolved later on. But this sequence happens and it has no significance whatsoever at all, which is random, and why I like it. The dumb chair is home to so much in this movie. Iggy and Spike are two really dumb characters and there's literally a point where it's referred to, and the solution to make them smarter is by putting them in the evolution machine. Thing is though, like evolution doesn't equal making you smarter. There are plenty of animals on Earth that are smarter than human beings. Thing is though, that's being cynical and pointing out every flaw with the movie, which I can do, and kind of have been doing, and I'll keep going because I think there are too many flaws with this movie. Like here, Bowser's got some funny liquid on his hand, for some reason. Keep in mind, this is our introduction to him, and the liquid isn't even mentioned again. Why? They made Toad into a likeable character, to then turn him into a Goomba, which is fair enough. It's accurate to the games, not the likeable part, the Goomba part. Bowser wants to merge the two worlds for dominance, and to do that, he needs a piece of rock that came off the meteorite, which Princess Daisy has. This rock is the centerpiece of the entire movie. The amount of tomfoolery that happens with it is nuts. But the rock gets thrown around by everyone throughout the movie. Like, eventually it ends up with Bertha. Big Bertha from Mario. The fish. There's a scene between her and Mario which is really dodgy, the entire movie being dodgy, but like with most of my videos, I'm not going to go through it scene by scene. But there is so much of this movie that is so bad, yet for being incredibly bad, it makes me like it more. I was just casually reading the Wikipedia, and Bob Hoskins, God rest his soul, he was interviewed in 2011 and was asked 3 questions. 1. What is the worst job you've done? 2. What has been your biggest disappointment? And 3. If you could edit your past, what would you change? And his reply to every question was the Mario Bros movie. Dog, half the time Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were drunk during filming. That's funny. And then what makes it even better than that is that initially it was a lot more sexually explicit before Disney made them tone it down. Oh yeah, Disney had distribution rights to the movie. And then you look at the current landscape of entertainment, and it's just interesting how everything has come full circle. And on top of everything, I think it's even better that people cite this movie for single-handedly sending video game movies into the sin bin for nearly 30 years, because despite it being not good, I think that it's got really interesting set design. The amount of effort that went into designing Dino Hatton, the entire world, the Mario iconography, everything screams care and effort. And despite all that, people dislike the movie because it's different. Different in that the Goombas are weird and Bowser's a human. Not different as in, wow, they tried to be unique here and it didn't all go well, but the effort was there and it looks great. I mean, there are more problems with the movie and more questions I have. Like, Bowser has a wife, I think, and Daisy dresses up really fancy for an unknown reason. They get a portable devolution gun halfway through the movie, which doesn't do much. Oh wait, yeah it does, it turns Scorpelli into a monkey, which is a scene played out for a minute while everyone goes, wait, what? The climax of the movie is a visually boring scene with Bowser playing whack-a-mole with Mario, Bowser losing. In fact, the only cool thing about the climax is Bowser finally turning into a dinosaur and wreaking havoc, which was long overdue because whenever Bowser was devolutioned earlier in the movie, it practically did nothing. Like, what? Things in this movie are coincidentally moved and changed just for plot convenience, which is really dumb. And there are so many things in the movie which aren't brand accurate, like in the club scene, Luigi wears red and Mario wears yellow. Why? I don't know. We don't need to know. But the fact that you can compare this embodiment of Mario to the Mario we have today, which by comparison is lifeless, I prefer the Bob Hoskins Mario because ultimately, they tried to do something unique and different. And even though the final result didn't end up being a good movie, for too many reasons that I keep remembering as I'm writing the script, like all the fungus in Dino Hatton being Daisy's dad, and this thing being Daisy's dad, yeah, overall the movie is jank. And I don't want to pretend it isn't, but I recommend watching it if you haven't already. Plus, I want to come back to it in a year and be like, yeah, I prefer this to the Illumination movie. And then in that video, I can show this clip and be like, wow, I was so correct, look at him. Thank you. Bye.